Thank you. Okay, thank you for joining us today. Good morning, welcome. I'm Jessica Cisneros, graduate student of the University of Alberta, and I will present you a little video.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. It's me, Ella. Well, a digital version of me. Just a bit older. Amazing what technology can do these days, isn't it? All you need are a couple of pictures, like the ones you share on social media, where they can be taken and used by everybody. I know, for you, these pictures are just memories. But for others, they are data. And for me, maybe the beginning of a horrible future. A future where my identity can be stolen just like that. Where I can go to prison for things that I would never do. Imagine my credit score being destroyed, Dad. Or my voice copied to scam you, Mom.
Mom, I'm in trouble.
I need you to send me money, please. I don't want to become a meme, humiliated by everyone at school.
Kill yourself, you fucking loser.
And I certainly don't want this. What you share online is like a digital footprint that will follow me around for the rest of my life. I'm telling you this because I know you love me and would never do anything to harm me. So please, Mom, please, Dad, protect my virtual privacy.
Well, let's start with the agenda. The first topic will be challenge and concern on the use of ChatGPT in higher education by Dr. Luis Alquel Trejo. The second topic is going to be the navigation, the future of work, AI, and its impact on jobs, empowering tomorrow by Mian Ahmad. And the third topic is building application with ChatGPT was by Wasem Gul. Okay, let's present the first topic. The first topic is by Dr. Luis Angel Trejo. He is an associate research professor at the Department of Computer Science in the Tecnológico de Monterrey. He received his master from CINVESTAB, IPN, and PhD in computer science from Université Claude Bernard de Lyon, France. He is an expert in artificial intelligence and machine learning applied to health areas, timely diagnosis of mental disorders, cybersecurity, and gender violence, among others. He has more than 35 national and international publications and several industry certifications. He has been invited as a speaker in more than 40 forums. He is National System of Researchers Level 1. He's collaborating with various international organizations, including the University of Texas, University of Exeter, and University of Alberta. Welcome, Dr. Bliss.
Did he disconnect?
He's still here, but maybe some internet issues. Oh, Professor Luis, can you hear us? Just give him a second. Maybe he's disconnected. That's one of the side effects of the technologies these days.
Yeah,
We need to be aware of these as well.
yeah, that's true.
We tested his sound and everything. It was fine even before starting the symposium.
Technology.
Dr. Luis, are you ready to start?
Yeah, just technology gave me a big surprise. I mean, it was working well. I am on my phone right now, so I will need some help to just to project my presentation, and that will be okay. I can follow from my phone. Is that okay?
Yeah, just give me 1 second. I will start your presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Should be good now.
Yeah, perfect. Yes, sorry about that. You know what technology is. Yeah, so I think that good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to some of you. And also, thank you very much for the invitation and the presentation from Jessica. Yeah, I think the video we just started this morning is very shocking, and unfortunately, it is true. So really need to be aware about the virtual privacy of our families. Okay, so I will talk about challenges and concerns of the use of this tool that is very popular right now, ChatGPT, in the domain of higher education. So if we can move forward, please. Just a very quick introduction to the tool. Here, very quick, I will tell you that I asked ChatGPT to tell me about itself, and this is what I have as an answer. Yeah, it's a model that is called Generative Pre-trained Transformer. And without being so technical, I will say that the G stands for generative. It means that can generate text depending on the context. The PT stands for pre-trained, using a huge amount of data. That's a little bit about the idea behind this tool. This is in order to learn linguistic patterns and general knowledge from different domains. Yeah, okay, so the data is a big amount of information, and the underlying technology, again, without being so technically, has to do with deep learning and neural networks, specifically an architecture called transformer, which is that the model or the architecture in machine learning that allows this ability to have a conversation with humans, right? So yeah, so let's move to the next one, where I can show you a little bit the evolution of the tool. Yeah, now we are talking about the latest version, which is GPT-4. It was released early this year. And for those who are using this version, it is not my case. I might be starting to use it in a couple of weeks. We need a license to do that. But the promise is that it will be more complete, giving more detailed answers and a lot of richness on the answers. And of course, it will be trained using a huge amount of data, much more than the previous version. Also very interesting, we can interact with the chat, not only using text, but also using images. Next, I will show you a very quick image about the evolution. We started with GPT-2. The train was using 40 gigabytes, which is not too much. Normally, the license that we use, which is the free one for ChatGPT-3, it was trained using 45 terabytes. Now we are talking about some data. The big surprise is the latest version. It is said to have 500 times more capacity and knowledge than the previous version. All right, so let's start with the topic. I just wanted to make a brief introduction beyond the video that we saw this morning. So here we say first users, first surprises. Then I will tell you about a little story. One of my colleagues, he was playing with the tool when it was first released. He asked ChatGPT to develop a survey on a specific domain, right? So he got a very nice answer. He was surprised and satisfied about the answer. And he asked for some references to the survey. And then he noticed that specifically one reference was not known by him. So he went to the old ways, to the empirical way, and went to Google search, looked for the reference, and surprised, didn't find any reference about it. So he went back to the tool, right, and asked ChatGPT, where can he find some information, more information about the citation, about the reference he was reported on the survey. And the answer was, that reference does not exist, right? So the comment back say, why do you insert or reported some references that do not exist? And the answer for ChatGPT was, because you asked me to insert some references. Okay, so that's a little bit interesting, because I mean, for new users, really, that was really surprising, because that means, as the message we get from here, is that we need to be very specific on what we are asking to the tool, right? So that's the first message we have here. We need to be very explicit, and that will lead us to the term that has been coined recently, that is prompt engineering. But I will talk in a couple of slides about it. So we can move to the next one, please. Okay, in this case, this is from my personal experience when I first started to use the tool on my class. So I was teaching at that time some concepts about cloud computing, about the terms of security and having all our information and our private data in the cloud. And at the end, I wanted to show my students how was the market share with the big competitors in cloud computing. So I showed this image to them in the class, and I asked them explicitly to tell me something that was hidden in this in this slide. I did not want to have an answer that was evident and was written down in the presentation in this high data with the competitors. So the first participation just took the micro and said, okay, I see that Amazon is the biggest competitor in cloud computing in this market share. And I went back again to my class and say, again, I don't want you to tell me what is written in the slides, because everyone can read this and interpret what is going on. We have a pie chart, we have the distribution of the share markets. I say, please go back and read between lines just to see if you can find out what I'm looking for. So then we had some silence in the room. Students were thinking, and suddenly there was someone that says, I see that this data, professor, is from 2021. And that is strange because normally all of professors in university, they present updated data. They will not present all data. So that's strange. And then suddenly a second student come and say, okay, 2021, it sounds that it has been generated using the ChatGPT tool, because as far as I know, the knowledge of the tool is up to September 2021. And then I will say, bingo, you have gained a very nice pizza. So you tell me which one do you want? And I'll say, okay, excellent. You find that. I did not give credit to ChatGPT. I generated this presentation, this slide, using ChatGPT. And then I went back to my class and say, okay, first, this is what we have up to 2021. Now, what I need you to do is, you need to give me the first quarter or the second quarter of 2023 about the same information, but I need to know how the competitors have moved in a couple of years. So now your tool, your work, is your task is to go to your traditional search engines and give me the latest report on this mark sharing. So they went back, they spent some time, maybe half an hour, because the information was difficult to find out. And they came up with the latest version. And finally, they had to do a comparison about how the market has shifted during these couple of years. So here is my message. We can have a lot of information from the tool, but normally there should be a second part of the task we are doing, where the students need to be more involved and without using the tool and using other kind of skills. Okay, so we can move to the next one. My third case is about. This is very recently. This happened in a summer workshop this summer. At Tech de Monterrey, we have something that we call train the trainers, right? So this is all about a professor which is expert in a specific domain that will train other professors in the same area. So that is called train the trainers scheme, right? So this summer, the course was about visualization of data for data science, using specifically Matplotlib from Python, right? So I will not go into technical aspects of that. So the new thing is that the rules of the course, of the summer course, was, okay, we're going to develop some codes, but the first code will be, you need to use ChatGPT, so you need to download it as participant, right? Those are the professors with the role of students. And first, they obtain the basic code. Let me see, maybe some code on the left, and then on the right, the first basic image. And that really saved a lot of time to the group. The second part, the professor said, okay, now that you have the basics, now you need to adapt your solution to a very specific solution. We need to have a specific data set that you have downloaded. So this information is not known to ChatGPT. So you need to develop a more complex solution from a starting point. Now, what is the message here? We have a very nice technique using the tool and taking advantage of the tool to save a lot of time, right? Okay, so we can move to the next scenario. Yeah, I already talked earlier that developing a well-structured and defined prompt is critical to interact with the tool. I mean, with any tool, this is not limited to ChatGPT, all right? So in reality, this is a new area that is called prompt engineering. There is a very specific way to do this prompt. So I need to go very fast in this topic. So I tried to summarize this for the sake of time. What I did is I asked the tool to teach me on how to develop a well-defined prompt. And first, I asked the tool to define what prompt engineering was. He gave me my answer. And then if we move to the following slide, then I asked him to train me to develop a good prompt. All right. So he gave me a stock of information, very well-defined structure. So then I said, okay, now let me try if I understood you, right? I was having a big conversation with the tool, and I say, okay, this is the tool. I need to teach physics to my daughter. She needs to review some physics topics for she's preparing some exams. So I launched the prompts, and I got a congratulations. He says, yeah, great job. Maybe because from behind he was saying, because I taught you how to do some prompts, right? So I got the prompt. He summarized the prompts. You can see it there. So it has to be very well structured. So here, this is what you want. I want to teach physics to my daughter using the following aspects. I need you to explain the Newton's first law. Second, I need some practical examples from the real world so my daughter can appreciate Newton's law on practical cases. And finally, I need some problems, yeah, so she can practice before the exams. So I got the answer. If we can move, we can move. I mean, we are not going to look at very closely, but I had all this program, all this schedule that say, okay, the first part, it is the explanation of Newton's law. The second part is some practical examples from the real world. And finally, in the next slide, I can see some problems. But very nicely and very touching, at the end, he says, okay, this is a very nice initiative. You are teaching physics to your daughter. I'm here to help you. And best luck and happy learning, right? So that's a very, very polite, a very gentle way to program this tool, no? Yeah, just very, very, very friendly. Yeah, but the message was, it is very important to give the tool a very well-structured prompt. That's why the engineering prompt came to the community. Yeah, yeah. Going towards to closing this talk. Yeah, I will summarize my thinking about our main concerns. This is some lines that I wrote during the last weeks, just after the invitation came from Universidad of Alberta. And the main concerns that I think is there could be an abuse on the use of ChatGPT and creating addictive dependence of the tool. We need to know that ChatGPT is not perfect, and as we illustrated in one of the cases, it can give incorrect results. Therefore, there is a need for validation on the output you are getting. There is I see another concern that it is not having a proper and ethical use of the tool, right? This links with the video we just saw this morning. And for instance, the problem would be that the students or public in other domains can deliver projects or homework as they are provided by the tool without any further validation, and what is worse, sign as their own. So this is an ethical thing, and we are then crossing the line of plagiarism, right? So this is very, very important main concern. Okay, just a couple of more slides to finish my talk. My recommendation would be, this is what ProBEEs is doing. We're raising awareness on our students and the public in general on the advantages and disadvantages of the tool. That's what we are doing with this talk. It should be used with responsibility. It should be seen as a great assistant, not as a tool that would do the work for you and then click submit. That would be a misunderstanding of the use of the tool. And always we need to verify, double check the information, correct if necessary, fine tune, enrich what AI cannot do, which I call the amazing intellectual process of the human mind. We move to the next one, please. The big challenge, as I see it nowadays in higher education and in any level of education, that could be high school or secondary, we need to, I want to start by the bottom. So there is a message I want to give. We don't need, as professors, to wear out ourselves reviewing or testing if the task was generated with AI. Better, we need to challenge our students to go further using what we call in education argumentative answers. So if I go back to the first part of these slides, we need to redefine the problems we are giving to our students, and we need to redesign and restructure these problems using what I see as two main components, as I illustrated in the summer training course. The first one, there is a component that can be provided by the tool. This will be the first step of the solution, the starting points, and we are going to gain, believe me, a lot of time. We are not going to battle a struggle with syntax and methods and all that. You can have your starting point very quickly. We are going to gain a lot of time. But the second one is the more challenging. We need our students to apply skills as critical thinking, design, innovation, intuition, sensitivity, creativity, and so on. I had to stop the list. It could have been bigger, but I had to stop there. What I mean, my message is the students have to apply the skills that can only be delivered by the human mind in a specific knowledge domain, as nowadays, because this might change tomorrow, okay? So finally, I will close with this one for the sake of time. I was watching a workshop on this topic the last weeks from a professor from Tec de Monterrey, Jaime Alejandro Bustos, and he was asked a question, the classical question, is AI going to replace professor, or is AI going to replace jobs in the market? His answer was very interesting. He said that artificial intelligence will replace only those who don't know how to take advantage of AI. So I close with this, and I will be very happy to have some questions at the end of the coming presentations. So thank you very much for your attention. I'm sorry about the technical issue that I have this at the beginning of the presentation. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Luis. The Q&A session is going to be at the end of the symposium after the three topics have been presented.
Just one thing, Jessica, if anybody has any question, please feel free to share them in the chat. We will collect all the questions and then we can answer at the end, right? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to start the second topic, that is the navigation, the future of work, AI and its impact on jobs, empowering tomorrow, by Mian Ahmad. Mian Ahmad Bashir is an accomplished engineer and a passionate advocate for the transformative potential of data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. With a background in the oil and gas sector and at a master's degree in petroleum engineering, their non-linear journey has equipped them with a unique skill set to streamline business processes, solve complex problems, and leverage AI technologies. Trusted by companies seeking efficiency and a competitive edge, Mian's expertise in optimized operations and delivering remarkable outcomes sets their clients apart. Their dynamic pulse surveys are testament to the power of embracing diverse experiences, culminating in the ability to shape the future through AI-driven excellence. Welcome, Mian.
Thank you very much. I will share my screen now. Everybody can hear me clearly, right?
Yes.
Let's begin. So, all right. So my topic today was figuring out how AI would impact the way we work today and how we can navigate future and work in the future. So I was supposed to give a short introduction about ChatGPT, but just like how Professor Angel Trejo introduced ChatGPT in prompt engineering, so I would not spend a lot of time on those topics. But let's begin with the basic question of our understanding about what work is. So once again, I welcome you all and thank you for joining us in this topic that would govern how we would live our lives in the future. So work is one of the fundamental human experiences, and the way we look at work and our experience work is what and how we live our lives in the future. So from early ages, we remember we are always asked, what do you want to be, or what do you want to do in your future, or just in general, especially in Asian cultures, they would ask you, what do you want to become when you when you grow old? And the answers are a reflection of what excites us or what we value in our life and what we want to bring to the world. So as kids, we could identify things like, oh, I want to become a pilot because I want to fly an airplane. And some other examples are like just on the slide, nurses are people who care for people, or doctors look after people, scientists make discoveries, teachers teach different topics, and so on. At best, work isn't defined by as an object that would feed us. Rather, it is a source of it's a source of fulfillment to our soul. But today, the reality often falls short of that promise. We spend too much time consumed with the tasks that come with our work, and a lot of time is taken by the things that we do repeatedly, which takes away the creativity and the energy from us. So a lot of the times this happens that the tools that should make us more productive seem to get in our way. We are usually meant for so much more, or we think, or we have the ability to do so much more. But because we have a disconnect between the soul of our work and us, we just don't have the better way of doing the same things, or so this is the reason that we come and we need a whole new way of working. All right, so since the beginning, we've been on this continuous journey where things or machines would help us do our work better. And we are moving towards this new era where humans and machines would have a symbiotic relationship with each other of empowerment. Humans created AI or machines, and machines would in turn empower humans. It's not like in the movies or science fictions, like Terminator, the technology would go beyond us, and then eventually technology thinks, or the AI or intelligence thinks, that humans are their worst enemies. So in order to preserve society or the world or the technology, remove the human beings from the equation. So this was a big debate, and so the way around it was to form a relationship where both would benefit each other and they would go hand in hand. We first start to see machines when Werner Bush he outlined an essay titled "As We May Think." He envisioned what future devices would look like, and he actually named a device Mimics that would collect knowledge and make it easy for humans to retrieve that knowledge and understand it, and then perform calculations or use it accordingly. It is also fascinating for me to see how a person so far back, when there was no there weren't any advanced technologies. Today we can imagine that there would be much more sophisticated technologies, but back then there was nothing, and he could postulate that technology would come to this level or this complexity. Then maybe some of you guys know there's a model by OpenAI, and they named it Babbage. Babbage first made a steam-powered calculator that was capable of making simple calculations. And then in December of 1968, Douglas Engelbart, he gave a demo of a GUI. So now we interact with computers in a specific way, like drag and drop, mouse, keyboards, all things visual. But back then, if you consider the mechanical computers that were doing calculations based on the punch cards or floppy drives, it wasn't that interactive. And he gave the first demo, known as the mother of all demos, where they showed information on a very graphical interface. So the punchline here is that over years, we have witnessed remarkable potential of machines and the remarkable value that machines bring to our life, or technology that bring to our lives or to human life. So at this point, we are at a turning point, at an era where we would take a new step towards a groundbreaking technology. And in the past few months, AI and GPT, and by the way, these are all loosely related terms. So there's terms like AGI, artificial general intelligence, and stuff like that. So we have seen powerful foundational models that interact in the most powerful way, that is the natural language. Before this, so if you look at coding is writing code in a mathematical or algorithmic way, which computers understand. But humans, we communicate in a natural language or with words. So we've always developed new or higher level languages that are easier, that would make easier for humans to interact with computers. And AI or AGI or GPT models like ChatGPT are a step towards those. So if we look at a timeline, in around late 1940s were the first mechanical computers that were usually steam powered, big computers the size of big rooms. And then in 1970, we have the first microprocessors and so on. And now when the iPhone came, or the new phones came, that was groundbreaking. And now we are at a new shift or a cusp that where technology can be termed as intelligent. So we think that AI is new, but in fact, AI was always there from the first computers, when the computers are able to recognize punching cards, or if they were inserted the correct way around or not. they had a basic neural network, which is the foundation of the artificial intelligence or the consciousness of computers, let's say. I shouldn't even use consciousness, but like the way it distinguishes things from the right or correct from incorrect, right from wrong. And so we have AI moving along with us all this way. Many of us go on Amazon or YouTube or Facebook, and then we see friend suggestions or suggestions to buy. Or that is all because AI models are running at the back, and they are taking the data that we've been or populating or generating on the internet, and then give us suggestions based on those data. So all our online experience, on internet experience, from searching online to shopping, AI is always working behind the scenes. But at this point, AI is coming in the forefront or more working with us. Microsoft puts it as a autopilot. So AI was at the back end on autopilot working for us, but in big servers, not necessarily, we were not witnessing or experiencing it firsthand, but it was still there. But now it's more like co-pilot, from autopilot to co-pilot. That's how Microsoft puts it. These few months, we've seen powerful models that has natural language capabilities, which opens new doors and exciting new opportunities to work with. And just like how we've become used to the GUI, or the graphical user interface of computers, using mice or keyboards to interact with computers, and we can think of or even touchpads on our phones. Now we can't imagine using the old button keypad on a phone. It wouldn't be smart. Nobody would want to do that. Just like that, the co-pilot or AIs that work with humans, empowering them, we wouldn't be able to considering working without those technologies or without those capabilities. So the next generation of AI that we are at the cusp is fundamentally different from the AI that we witnessed in the past, the one in the background. So if you look at this graph, it shows the capability of the intelligent systems or AI over the years. And you can see the human performance benchmark is set at 0, right? And AI has developed capabilities, and you can see towards the right in the purple line that the language understanding, or the NLP, or natural language processing capabilities, are fairly recent, actually 2018, but it had an exponential or kind of like vertical growth where it just shot through the roof because we have other AI technologies. And when the natural language processing capabilities came into AI, it started just to perform better. And we have reports that AI or ChatGPT, so they did tests with ChatGPT 3 and ChatGPT 4 where ChatGPT performed better on some tests compared to humans, but not all of the tests. And ChatGPT 4 was able to perform or outperform humans in most of the tests. So law school tests and medicine tests and stuff like that. All right, moving forward. So the question we should ask is, or we are asking us is, should we feel threatened by AI? And here I would quote a quote from Herbert Simon in 1965. So he predicted machines would be capable within 20 years of doing any work that a man can do. And when we look at this quote, we think that, okay, machines are going to replace humans, because if machines are able to do the work humans can do, so we wouldn't need human workers, right? And there's no straightforward answer, but the general answer, general understanding is no. These technologies would help us perform better. They would transform the nature of work and the workplace. So if you look at this figure, we see that 6 out of 10 workers will have at least 10% of their jobs or their workload automated by AI or by machines. And then 2 out of 10 workers would have their 50% of work that they are doing be completely automated. So there wouldn't be need for human input. So if we look at some of those jobs that would have overwhelmingly more workload taken by AI, is jobs something like copywriters, survey collectors, data operators, text preparers, proofreaders, or interpreters. And then there are low exposure jobs, which are high intellect or high creativity jobs, or manual jobs. So mechanics, what a mechanic does, or a cook does, or a trade worker does, AI cannot do that. AI can be good at one thing, but not necessarily at everything. So the good news is, we have had industrial revolutions in the past, and industrial revolutions or revolutions doesn't necessarily mean that we would be put out of work or the machines would replace us. So history is the key to the future. So this the new revolution, or let's call it the fourth industrial revolution or the AI revolution, wouldn't what do you call it? I'm sorry, I'm stuck. So wouldn't put us out of work. It would actually empower us, and it could actually make more jobs instead of making less jobs. So if we go back and think about when first computers came into the market and the PC computers came into market, we have jobs in semiconductor industry, people who are assembling, or people who are working with new computers or making new computers or writing software. So it actually generated more jobs. And a quote by Colette Stahlbaumer from Microsoft, she said that humans is, and I quote, will be always in control. And with generative AI, it would be more like we would get a response, or how you instruct an AI to generate a response, and then ask yourself, do I want to keep this? Do I want to modify it? Or do I want to discard it or use it? And how do we interpret the result that is generated by AI? So moving forward, what would be some of the skills that would be required for this fourth industrial revolution or the AI revolution? Is going towards the basics: analytical judgment, flexibility, emotional intelligence, and so on. In fact, there was a survey done by McKinsey and Company where they recognized 4 core areas, four core areas, they call them deltas, the distinct elements of talent that could be a combination of skills required for the future of work. And they divide them into 4 categories: cognitive, leadership, digital skills, and interpersonal or social skills. And they recognize that out of those 56 distinct skills or deltas, they found that 9 were most highly correlated with increased employment and income and job satisfaction in the future. And those included self-confidence, coping with uncertainty, ability to synthesize information, using the information, synthesizing messages, because again, this AI is interesting, or everybody's interested because now they are communicating with us in the natural language. So synthesizing messages to and fro, adaptability, like learning new skills or changing or adapting or flexibility to the new environment, self-motivation, wellness, work plan, and organizational awareness. So you should be aware what environment you are, what organizational environment you are, and how to adapt to that. And like, again, AI wouldn't replace workers, but workers who use AI would replace workers who do not. So some of the job roles, and there are many, it's an exhaustive list, but some of the new job roles that could come up in the market is obviously machine learning engineers, where they write models or generate new algorithms, natural language processing engineers. So, generative AI models is based on natural language processing. Robotics and automation engineers, so people who use tools, be it industrial tools or software tools that automate repetitive tasks. Business intelligence developers who go and talk to businesses and develop tools or methods or workflows that would incorporate AI and automation to make the workflow more efficient. And AI product managers, so we know that there's, with the one OpenAI ChatGPT and their API, there's been new web apps that are coming on the market. So product managers, right? And then AI consultants who specialize in AI and see what is required for upcoming businesses. So just like the professor gave an introduction about ChatGPT, it's a large language model, it's a transformer architecture, and the key here is it generates human-like responses in natural response in a chat fashion. And then we had an iteration between the different generations, let's say, of models, and those generations of models are broadly based on the data that was fed into the models, and then they learned from that data. The exciting thing about AI or GPT here is we didn't teach it. We gave it a bunch of information and then let it figure it out. So the data that goes in, the more data you feed it, the more better it would become. So the more context you give it, it has a better chance of predicting what word should it speak next. And by the way, this is how humans think. So I'm not thinking as I'm speaking. My brain is generating the next word that should come in sequence. I don't necessarily think what the next word should be. So that's the same with neural networks behind these AIs.
So, Mia, can you please wind up? We are
yeah.
20 minutes already.
All right. So
just in the interest of time.
I'm sorry. So yeah, there's several advantages of ChatGPT, and then I had a basic steps for how we can use ChatGPT. So basically, we select the correct model, select the input data, and then generate the results. All right, so I'm going to speed up now. And then I had an introduction about prompt engineering, but the professor already discussed it. And then there's some examples where I use prompt engineering to generate responses that I wanted. So for example, from my personal chat, this is what I generated a response. I asked ChatGPT to act as a career counselor and then guide me how I can get a proper job, or actually write me steps for my resume. I asked it what should AI be in the future, and if I want to give a talk, write me a script. So it gave me a script, and so this is what basically goes beyond is, and if you go to OpenAI Playground, it gives you a code, and then you can use the code or modify the code and instruct ChatGPT to generate responses that we want. So that's about it. That sums my part. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mian. We're moving to the third topic of today, that is building applications with ChatGPT by Wasem Gul. Wasem Gul is a graduate in computer science from the Institute of Management and Science, Peshawar. He has a specialized focus on the development of ChatGPT, marking his footprint in the industry by securing several long-term positions as a ChatGPT developer on Upwork, a renowned global freelancing platform. Wasim has demonstrated an entrepreneurial spirit, publishing various applications that have gained considerable recognitions. Among these, the anti-blue whale application stood out, attracting substantial media interest that led to over 50 news features and numerous interviews on electronic media platforms. Wasim, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Do you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can hear you. Can you please share your screen?
Let me share my screen. Okay, so my topic is more like developer oriented, but I have tried my best to make it as abstract as possible. So just you can just have an idea of what ChatGPT is capable of. So I will be discussing these three case studies. The one is interview app with ChatGPT. Another one is a drone application that we have built. And the third one is a YouTube summarizer with ChatGPT. So the interview app is about to streamline the interview process and find the best candidates, and of course, all automatic with ChatGPT. So this is actually an early alpha version. The screenshots are from early alpha version. So this is how it gets started. First of all, the recruiter explain how what is their company name and job title and etc. and what is their mission, outcomes, and competencies for the job, and all these stuff. And then we use this letter to generate questions and score reports for the candidates. So as you can see, when it start asking questions, so let's say the first question, it is a predefined question we have built it, like what are you really good at professionally? And when the candidate answers with something like I am good at Java, Python, and some skills, so the next question is generated from the candidate's answer. Like you can see the next question is, can you please explain how you applied Java in your previous job or role? And that's how it generates automatically next question and that next question and so on. And at the end of the interview, it generates a detailed interview score report for the candidate, and also give it a score from 80 to 100. We have trained the ChatGPT, and that's how it does all this stuff. And for a better conversation, we have also added a humanoid voice conversation, so that the text, the speech, the interview process looks more humanoid. Like I'll just play this video to show you how it is a humanoid voice.
Really looking forward to our time together. Here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to spend the first 20 minutes of our interview getting to know you. After that, I am happy to answer any questions you have so you can get to know us. Sound good?
So we have also added Whisper API, so that users can also talk to it. So it is more like a conversation. Like you don't feel like it is an AI. You feel like it is a real person behind the screen. So that's how we are making this conversation possible.
Really looking forward to our time.
And we are also working on a video call interview. Like we may include it in our beta version. So like if you are interviewing a person, it will be you will have an AI person on the other end. And our other future work is like to mitigate the biasness in the interview process, like it don't get bias on one side. And also the future work can be like more natural language processing advancements. Like let's say a candidate want to share a story, so the ChatGPT won't ask just the next question. It will be in show interest in the story that the candidate mentioned. So these kind of sense we are adding in this interview app. And another case study is a ChatGPT enabled drone. The purpose of this drone is to enable natural language interaction and intuitive commands for the drone. Right now it supports these commands, like you can say a flip, and it just the drone flips in the air, and then you say follow me, it will follow you around. And you can also say take off, so it just take off. And we are also adding more commands. Here's a short video of how it flips.
Flip right.
So the applications and use cases of these ChatGPT enabled drone is like you can make an aerial photography and videography without doing, just by handling the drone with your commands, with your voice. And it can also help in operations, rescue operations in challenging areas, and searching, etc., and surveillance and security in restricted areas, etc. And it also has potential use cases in agriculture, infrastructure inspection, and wildlife monitoring. And the third case study is YouTube Summarizer. Its the purpose is to simplify the process of extracting summaries from lengthy YouTube videos. Like you can generate a short summary of a long, let's say, podcast and long speeches. So just to save your time, and also like you can also create a summary of your podcast to do a promotional video, a short video. So this is a little technical. The functionality it does is like you add a subtitles file to our ChatGPT application, and it generates the summary. But the problem with the challenge was that when you generate a summary with ChatGPT, even after so much training, it still sometimes converts a small wording, like it changed some wording. So the problem is like our challenge was to generate a short summary with including with time frames. So let's say the summary is generated, and each sentence, when we are looking in the subtitles file, because it has changed a small word, it won't find in here. So then let's say like there's a time frame here, and there's no time frame in the summary. So what we does, we solve this challenge with we pick up the summary sentence and look up for the usually same sentence, and this we collect all the sentences from the subtitles file. So it is generated with ChatGPT, but the content is taken from the subtitles file. So that's how we solve it, and we just add the time frames again, so we can just find it in the video, which is summarized. And we also then generate a video with the exact person talking, like in his own voice, so we don't have to like change it. And the benefits of the YouTube Summarizer is to consume information of lengthy content in less time, and easily create short versions of long videos. And you can also create a promotional videos for podcasts and speeches, etc. And like a short version of when like currently we have multiple platforms for short videos. So people usually do this work manually, like they create a short version of their podcast and then upload on all platforms like TikTok and YouTube Shorts, etc. So this will help them create a short version of the video, and then they can just post it everywhere. So that was my presentation. Thank you. I think it was quick.
Thank you so much, Wasim. Wonderful presentation. Jessica, thanks a lot for your help. So I'll take it from here for the questions. I think there are some exciting questions in the chat, so I'll start with those. I got a list of them, so if you have further questions, please add them to the chat. We will prioritize the chat questions first, and then we will go to my list if we have time. So let's start with the first one. So there is a question from Saad Jamil. Can we consider ChatGPT safe? There can be security threats. What is your take on security of data in ChatGPT? And I have a kind of a similar question to that in terms of the data privacy. What kind of information is collected and stored when using ChatGPT, and how can we use? How can the user protect their data when we are actually typing in something to the ChatGPT? So kind of, I think it's around the same lines. So if anybody wants to answer this, Professor Luis.
Yes, very quickly. Yeah. As far as I know, in terms of privacy, there are at least three main measures that are implemented in ChatGPT. The first one is the encryption of the conversations, which is good. I mean, WhatsApp already has that, but it will not be just enough. So besides encryption on the conversations, the information that is saved, it is anonymized, right? So you will take out all this personal data like names and phones and so on. So that's a good thing. And the third one, as far as I remember, information in your chat story will not remain there forever. So your history will have a time window limit. So those are three basic measures that are implemented in the tool. I don't know if my colleagues know about other measures that are towards guaranteeing the privacy of users.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Professor Luis. Wasim or Mia Ahmad, do you have anything else to add to this?
My understanding is ChatGPT takes all of your information that you put into it. So like again, the previous model, so when we say it is trained up to the data that was in 2020 or September 2020, I think, that's the data that it has access to. But if you give it more data or train it on more recent data, it has all of the data. So don't put your private information on ChatGPT. Never.
Okay. Awesome. Wasim, do you have anything, or should we go to the next question?
Yeah, I have the same thing to say, that we have to be careful when putting our personal data, because it takes all the data, as Mia explained. So we have to be very careful. We have to be anonymous. We should provide data anonymously, like it don't know our personal information.
Okay, awesome. So the next question is from Dr. Atik. What measures are in place so far to ensure ethical use of ChatGPT? Can ChatGPT understand and respond in multiple languages? So these are two questions. One is more on the ethical side. I think we talked about that, but the second one is English the only language, or there are other languages?
Yeah, I will go for the second one, which is the easiest. Yeah, you asked ChatGPT how many languages does it speak, and normally the answer will differ whenever you ask the prompt. Sometimes he answered that he knew fluently about 12 languages, and less fluently another dozens. So normally he would be multiple language and with more expertise or more fluency in the more common ones, for the ones that have more training. So that's the answer for the second one. You can ask the ChatGPT exactly how many languages does it speak up to date. And the first one, I mean, it's a hard one because we already mentioned a lot of ethical things, but I leave my colleagues to talk about it. If I have the space, then I can complement with my ideas, right? I leave my colleagues to go for this issue of ethical things.
I would touch slightly on ethical point. It's an ongoing debate. In fact, the European Union is discussing a legislature, and if we look at the talks that a lot of these founders are giving, starting from Elon Musk and the founder of OpenAI as well, they are pushing for legislative and a regulatory body that would govern how AI would act or react, or so it's an ongoing debate. Nobody knows it, and we frankly don't know how to control it. Touching on the second point, yes, it does understand, especially ChatGPT 4. I recently had the opportunity to make a WhatsApp chatbot, and believe it or not, it knows Naswar, so I don't know, right? And it can respond in Roman Urdu, so the Urdu language and not its own thing. If you ask it in English, but like the Roman Urdu, right? The way we used to do in the chatting on WhatsApp, it can respond in the same way. So yes.
Awesome. So let's go to the next question from Naveed Ahmed. What will be the future of ChatGPT? And I think nobody knows that, but if there is any take on this, please speak to that. And can we rely on ChatGPT specifically in education? I think Professor Luis talked a lot about that already, but do you guys know, or do you have any prediction on the future of ChatGPT?
Yeah. If you let me, my colleagues.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I would say that, I mean, we need to be aware that there are dozens, tons of tools outside. ChatGPT is not the only one. So we have a lot of things about making video, making videos, making audios, making presentations, making art, making music. So ChatGPT is just a very small thing of what we can have on AI. The future, it's unpredictable, but all technologies they will have an evolution, and they will try to be a better tool for humanity. That's the main reasons behind, right? So also talking about the previous questions, as far as I know, also in OpenAI, there is an ethical group working on this misusage or whenever it's not used in an ethical, responsible way. So there's a team working on that. So the future will be just to try to make the tool more secure and more towards productivity for humans, more aiding instead of making just the opposite. So the future will be those tools are here and they will stay with us. I don't know if you remember when you first started WhatsApp. I said, no, I will not use WhatsApp. I will keep my SMS because I love SMS. And suddenly you had to do WhatsApp, and now we cannot live without WhatsApp, no? So it's going to be like that. I mean, these tools are going to be part of our, they will be in our phones, they will be in our computers, so they will live with us and they are here to stay. And what we expect is that they will be better and better, more rich, more robust, and more secure, because the ethical part and the privacy is an issue, as Mia commented. I mean, all this regulation from the European community and all the rest of the world, privacy is really an issue. And we come back to the video that Jessica showed this morning, to start this morning. So that's an issue, and we expect that all these tools will develop only for well. Yeah, that will be my comment on the first part of the question. So I leave my colleagues to complement.
Thank you, Professor Luis, and I completely agree that the intelligent part of the AI, it's going to increase further, and it will appear in different forms, either ChatGPT or another form. So it's not going to disappear. This is what the reality of our life is, and we have to deal with it, and we have to learn. And I really like the quote you mentioned toward the end of your presentation, that those who do not take advantage of AI will disappear, not the AI itself. So I completely agree with that. Anybody else want to add anything, or we can go to the next question?
Because the second part of the question was towards education, so I can go if you agree. Sorry, I don't know if Wasim or Mian wanted to add something to the previous one.
Go ahead, Professor. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, in terms of the education, that's a really huge debate. I mean, we started when the first appearance of this tool, It was forbidden. I will not say names, I will not say context. It was forbidden. That's it, right? You cannot use it. And nowadays there are some organizations that forbid the use of ChatGPT in the classroom. Okay, so that's a big debate, because now what we are doing, we're pushing the paradigm that comes from security, from cybersecurity, which states that security through obscurity will not work. See what I mean? This is exactly the same. We cannot forbid a tool. Yeah. All the opposite. We need to promote in the classroom the use of all these tools. And as I mentioned, it's a work, a very challenging part from educators to develop the new tasks and the new problems we are posing to our students. That's a big challenge. We need to assume that these tools are there and they are going to be used openly, widely, promoted by us, but we need a second component where I love the Mayan's presentation, the ones from the company that said about the skills that are needed. There were some few that I didn't know. I mean, they're really wonderful. You need to go from critical thinking, analysis, awareness. I don't know. The list was a really good one. It would complement some of skills that I put in my presentation. That's what we need to work on. We need to give the basics, give these tools. If it's going to save a lot of time, but there's the other component where the skills need to be applied, and we need to design all that. That's a role from faculty, and that's a big challenge. That would be my comment for the second part of the last question.
Awesome. Thank you, Professor Luis. I think the next question is from David Baca, is kind of the same area. How is our personal data collected? Are there any existing legal standards available to regulate AI tools like ChatGPT? I think we already answered that. So I'll go to the next question from Amir Khan. How do we educate students on the difference of using ChatGPT as a tool versus using it to do all the work? Believe me, this is a difficult question, and we are still struggling to find the answer. But Professor Luis, do you have anything to add to that?
It's like calculators, right? So you have calculators that do calculations. So we have math exams, and then on some exams, calculators are not allowed. Or I remember because I'm educated in Pakistan, we weren't given formula sheets when we would sit for our engineering exams. But then in my master's, they gave us the formula sheet. So it's a tool, and you can't stop it. So you better learn it, and then overcome the skills that you need to use the tool properly. Because just having the tool wouldn't give you anything. You know, if you have access to ChatGPT, that doesn't mean anything in itself unless you know how to use it. So yeah,
I agree completely with Mian.
Awesome. So the next question is from Shayan Ahmed. He's talking about that problems for the ChatGPT now exist, but how do we know that every problem is possible to be redesigned, especially like when we teach students, right? So how do we actually redesign all these problems? It's not that easy. I mean, we have to completely change our mindset on that. For instance, how can one redesign a problem set on long division calculations for kids, for example? So maybe with particular examples, can you talk a little bit about how do we actually redesign the existing problems or assignments for students?
Yeah, I have an idea there. I saw an example of the latest version, which is very interesting because you can implement or activate what is called the merietics paradigm on the answers, which is this one. This is the Socratic method, where the chat will not give you the answer. That's wonderful, but will use the Socratic method to direct you towards the answer, and that is very, very nice. I think that's something that I'm really waiting to have this in my hands to experiment on that. That's a way we can redesign. I will not. You can ask me, but I will not give you the answer. I will give you the hints and the main topics, and I will ask you of something that you should know, because that's a Marietti thing, to discover the knowledge that you have. And I will not give you too explicitly. That's a assertive method. And if we are able to do that with a tool, that would be wonderful. That's a way. There are some windows in the horizon, some lights on the horizon, right?
Just
Awesome.
to touch up on your answer. So yeah, I mean, teachers or educators need to work with developers. So I really like you mentioned Socratic way, right? So ChatGPT, OpenAI gives an example in their playground of a Socratic chat, right? So it makes you think about the question. So the way it would be, in my opinion, would be we would develop it in the Socratic way to be used in the educational institutions. So like we have computers and things, right? And Blackboard that we do our online exams on, and then you can use it to cheat as well. But then you develop a system around it. So you use the technology, but you stop like cheating on the exam. So yeah, the tools will be need to be developed like that, and then the general AI tools would be there, but it wouldn't be as good as the one that are specifically made for educating students. And if you ask ChatGPT 3, like the model 3 or 3.5 math questions, it would give you wrong answers. And if you ask it specifically to go and use the math library, or like ChatGPT 4, then it would go and use the math knowledge and give you the correct answers. So it doesn't necessarily know math.
Awesome. Thank you, Mia. So in the interest of time, I will actually skip one of the questions from Amir for the education. And I'll take his question, the last question on the companies. So there is one question: can we manipulate the already stored data or already stored answer by constantly providing wrong answer to ChatGPT in the chat? That's an interesting.
I would touch up on both of these questions really shortly. The short answer for Saad's question is really no. So, once you give your data on internet, it doesn't matter ChatGPT or not ChatGPT, it's there. You can't really delete information from your hard disk. And if a data is deleted, then there's like data restoration softwares. So consider that in mind. And to companies, right? Companies think ChatGPTs and tools like that as a threat. That's why they want to use AI and GPT models, but they want to develop their own models and then keep them locally. So not on internet, because it would be a big risk. Yes.
Yeah. So I think the third question is probably more referring towards, can we manipulate the ChatGPT, like for example, providing a wrong answer to a particular question?
No, there was sorry, I'm sorry to cut you. There was an interesting information. So the developers fed into ChatGPT via instructions to not give information on specific topics, but then the way to work around it is so if I ask it, write me a code for a virus or a malware, ChatGPT would say no, because it's not allowed to do that. But if you befriend it and tell it, okay, what would be a hypothetical scenario if somebody wants to do this, then how would they go about it? So it would give you the steps. Okay, you write this, and then it was like, okay, I want to do this. So then it would start to give you code. So you can manipulate it in giving you the questions. That is the biggest threat, because we think the information on, let's say, building bombs is on internet, on books, right? It's already on books. We don't have access to it. I'm not smart enough, but because ChatGPT is smart enough, it can go and access that information. And there's APIs like, Wasim mentioned Whisper API. So there's a Serper API that goes and performs search on Google. So then it talks to ChatGPT and then it tells you how to, let's say, build stuff.
Okay. Professor Luis, do you have anything to add to this question from Amir? How do we suggest private companies manage the ChatGPT when entering proprietary information?
No, I think my answer is very welcome, very well done, and very complete.
Awesome.
I would like to add, if you allow.
Yes, please, Wasim.
What I understood from Saad's question is like, can you manipulate if we constantly providing wrong answers to ChatGPT? So I think he's referring to the concept like people were using ChatGPT like there's also a fun thing like hey, it's 2 plus 2 is 5, and ChatGPT says no, it's 4, and then you say my wife says so it's 5, so the ChatGPT replied with yes, if your wife says, then it's 5. But that thing only belongs to the single chat window. Um if you open up if you manipulate it in a single chat window, it will get manipulated. But if you open a new chat, it will then respond from the trend data it already has. So my answer for that is like you cannot manipulate uh, because it is already trained on the already data it has.
Awesome. That's a great example. Thanks, Wasim. I think we are done with mostly the chat here. I have a really burning question, and we are already 10:33, so I will be ending up this call pretty soon. So I have a really important question which I want to ask all the participants. I mean, ChatGPT is here, and we have to deal with it, right? And especially all the adults, we need to understand and we need to learn because that's a reality. But my question is, from which age should we allow our kids to start using ChatGPT? That's a question which I'm always debating, and I'm always interested to answer. So do you have any take on this, or have you thought about that, or have you seen any literature or any reference to that?
Not really. Very empirically, I'm teaching how to use the chat to my two daughters. One is 15 and the other one is 18. I don't know if I'm wrong, but it's okay. And I see it's a good tool. So I will tell them about, 15 years, I think she can really manage well and say, okay, these are the risks. Be careful what you are using that, but these are the benefits. You will not give a homework using ChatGPT without giving credit. You use it as a tool. The question of the age, that's hard. I mean, that's my personal experience, and I don't know if it's wrong or if it's right. I don't know. I really don't have information about age recommendation about these kind of tools. I would say we should give them depending on your on what you see in your family and what is the digital education that you have with your close family, and from that type, the best you can teach them before someone else does. So you can teach them and you can tell about these tools. I think that's important. That's a very huge responsibility to do that as a parent. I mean, I'm talking as a parent to educate your children in the new risk and new advantages of the tools. That's what I can say. I don't have information about each recommendation.
Just to touch shortly, it's like internet. So, internet or television, it has benefits and then it has its negative points. And the thing to remember with generative AI or ChatGPT or conversational AI is to consider it as a human or a knowledgeable human being. So do you control who interacts with your kids and what age group interacts with your kids or not? So because they are going to have a conversation with it, right? So if you have Siri at home or Alexa at home, are you allowing your children to interact with it? And then how do you make sure that it doesn't give it like your kids put on a wrong path? But the thing is, GPTs are much more advanced compared to Siri or Alexa and stuff like that. It is a big question. You would have to understand what it can say or communicate to your kids, and then keep a check on them, which I don't think is possible. So I'm not really sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Wasim, do you have anything else to add to any of the
I would like to add, I think I saw recently ChatGPT introduced a new feature like a pre-built context. Like you input your context, like what this chat is about, and so there I think you can control the results of ChatGPT. Like you input the age of your child and let them know like how to which kind of content it should generate. But of course, it's AI. It still cannot be trusted. Like maybe a child can also manipulate it. Like it just say like I am 18 years old and tell me something. So of course it cannot be trusted, but it's always a responsibility of the parents to ensure the security of whatever is possible. So I think that's one of the thing that ChatGPT has introduced, and we can use it for child safety.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Wasim, for sharing this. So I think we have lots of other questions, but I think in the interest of time, we will stop it over here. I really thank Professor Luis, Mia Ahmad, and Wasim Gul for joining us today. And I really also thank Jessica for leading this symposium. So I'm really happy that we have learned a lot. I have learned a lot throughout the process. So, and hopefully we will put this into the YouTube channel as well. So if you guys are interested in watching it later, there are some useful links in the chat which I just posted. Feel free to connect on those, and it will be available. So I'll be sharing those later through the email as well. So thank you everybody for joining, and have a wonderful day. And thanks to all the presenters for coming and giving us your thoughts on this.